So here's all the things I'm trying to do. It is 8:40 p.m. You'll see there all this stuff I have to do regarding the online jobs, and I said, yeah, it definitely. I think if you walk into somewhere and we've got a bunch of places that we have to put on a map that I have to schedule out, and this Father Joe's Villages is sucking my energy. And you've got people there with jobs and somehow got hooked up with it and got to where they have to go like I have to be, was just to have a job. But I think like most of the homeless shelters you go to, the majority of them, even though they tell the intake people, yeah, I want a job, because they just know it's the right thing to say. They just are there. They never end up getting a job, and they end up collecting Social Security supplemental income. For me, that's not an option. We don't want that. We don't want to touch welfare. I want a job. I want great medical. And I want to be able to pay for some medical. I talked about wanting to be cryogenically frozen. Well, that's insane. That's stuff for Ted Williams. But, you know, I mean, I want a second chance at life because this medication stole so much from me that I was taking. And it prevented me from, you know, fully disabling everybody around me, which I needed to do. Some of us are meant to rule the world. Some of us are meant to be executives. I was talking about all that in my previous videos. But here I am with a laptop computer. By the way, so I gotta think economically. It's called time is money. I think making this video is important because the next sort of phase of this, and we have to roll it out, is to try to connect with real estate agents in this area. And you know, they all blacklist people and say there's someone with no money that just wants to go. He's a real estate enthusiast. I don't want to go and look at houses, but the real estate agents are the one that I'm gonna say, look, I'm homeless. I smell terrible. Explain all of it. Link to some of the videos I've made explaining what psychiatric medications did to me taking it in my teen years, and my mom could not afford for me a trophy wife. And so I was thinking, and everything puts you in a dream. This medication puts you in a dream, and so everything's relegated to a dream. Write letters to California when you can get this information for free from a lot of counties in California under open data, under the Obama open data policies that started when I was, you know, high school, college. I said, let's write these letters to families with concentration of wealth, people that own apartment buildings in La Mesa, people that own apartment buildings in El Cajon, just like my family used to, and they collected rent checks for generations. They had to sell out of it for a lot of reasons, and we lost all of it. But I'm wanting to actually do deed research here in California, in Las Vegas, to piece together what we should still have, and I want to take over those properties again, or better ones, preferably better ones. But we, you know, we make up for bad blood. And just thinking about it, I'm showing the world why things are all screwed up. This homeless shelter sucks your energy, and definitely it's not as bad as, because I use the way the Navy sailors have to sleep on bunk beds as a kind of, you know, but the people here stink. And so even some beautiful Mexican with glasses, like the one I was talking about, that's got her fatigues on, riding the trolley back to, or riding the trolley into downtown from the shipyard area, she would feel bad for me if I started talking to her like, yeah, I mean, we don't stink. This is, you know, something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, unless they're foreign, of course. So I need a personal assistant. I talked about how I need a personal assistant for my nails, for my shaving. You know, I talked about all of that. But what I want to do is ask these brokers and these real estate agents, CalDRE license, because this is what they do. They pull up Outlook. They volunteer their time for me this week. And what I'll give them is an entire memoir. I'll give them a place in my memoir. We'll write a story about how that was so helpful to me. If I had a person I could sit across from. But the services at Father Joe's, as good as they're going to be, in a lot of instances, and as things kind of roll out, you know, you've got a career coach there at the so-called employment center, where they've got a computer lab that's only open 3 days out of the week. And that's why it's not enough. She's delusional. This woman, her name is Bonnie. She's delusional. I think everyone knows she's delusional. She told me, you know, you should call up the news down here and see if they could use you to do photography, looking at my history. And let's be honest, they can do their own social media, and they don't have that here, just like in Hawaii. You know, you can get a lot of the police radio and all of that, but they don't have that here. It's you know, yes, it'd be a good idea for me to get someone to donate me a camera so I can, and that's something I'm trying to do, is save disaster images here in Southern California. I like to be living between LA and San Diego, and you know, that's something that only a real estate broker or real estate agent would understand. If you talk to people at your own level, they're not going to understand wanting to ride the Amtrak train up into LA for half the week and do stuff there. But someone that's a real estate agent, probably, if they have not read Napoleon Hill and the law of success, even if they haven't read it, which really does ingrain a genius mind in the world of manifesting money into you. And that's where I learned it is you have to spend some time in the countryside, and you got to spend some time in the metropolitan area. It's just a balance that people that are like me need, and it's not TERI up in North County where they've got the country school and then they've got the other school that's it's like that's walking across the street. It needs to be legit, and where if I have an idea, suddenly I call this broker up, and she or he, I'm gonna send them into. But yeah, I'm looking at the pictures. I'm being discriminating. I'm being discerning. I'm looking for beautiful women. I'm gonna send them these emails. But even that takes time. So that's going to suck away from the things I gotta do, and I can't do that at Father Joe's Village. I have to leave early in the morning. But here's the problem. And I want to explain. My pants smell bad. I have to wash my clothes. I've got what looks like I jizzed on myself on my shirt. No, it's not. I don't have an neti pot. And it's just, again, this comes to time is money. I have to make an appointment to do my clothes. I was talking about yesterday needing someone to be able to just call someone up and say, send an agent down. A lot like we have a signing agent. If someone can't come into the title and escrow office to do a signing, or into our office to do, if you're a real estate agent, to sign a contract, or what would be here in California, a CAR, California Association of Realtors form. So, okay, we can't, there's no phone number to call to make an appointment to do laundry at Father Joe's Villages, because they want you to be in there to talk to the people at that little dormitory housing window, or like, their resident assistants, like it's SDSU or something. No, it smells like piss and human filth. And these people, it's just, I can't be around them. And so when I leave and my head finally starts to work because people aren't ugly around me, and I can open up my laptop and I can communicate with people, and my head just starts to work because I'm not around this vermin, then, oh, wait a minute. I have to be there to make an appointment to do laundry, and that's why I smell bad. But I could just, since we all have cell phones, we all have our Obama phone. Even today, we all have phones. Even if you're getting SSI, if you've got Medi-Cal card, you get a free phone. And so you get the free phone, and this is stuff you should be able to do with it. So we don't have to be concentrated in this concentration camp of absolute low-level filth, smelling this way together. We should smell this way around better smelling people, so that those people might feel bad for us, bring us in, and get us smelling better. There's no value in concentrating us together, except that we give them heebie-jeebies, but they shouldn't be allowed to. That's why I'm talking about the argument for diaspora or diffusion over concentration. Yes, we're disabled people, but society has to start bearing the burden of it. And so that, there you go. If you don't understand what I'm trying to say, there's nothing I can do for you. I'm not going to try to put it in different terms. You should just already know how discombobulated it makes you, that you can't make a phone call, get on the phone, and say, what times are available tomorrow for laundry? And then I can put that in my calendar and then work around that, and then set up job interviews and set up times and block times to make phone calls, and also respond to emails like this one, because the computer may end up being how I get a job. People on, Indeed.com and all of that need custodians. So, we got to block time for that. And so on top of that, that's why laundry never gets done. What else? There was another important thing. Oh yeah, tomorrow they've got open interviews, and it's a almost 3-hour long commute from here in downtown San Diego to a town called Funner, where they have a Harrah's casino. So here's a guy, left Las Vegas, leaving Las Vegas, this song, Sheryl Crow, and he's working in a casino. But it looks like a really good thing that I'd be able to immediately walk in there, shake someone's hand, and get hired, even if I smell bad and have a shirt like this, didn't do the laundry. Because, like I'm saying, these are actually the little things employers would prefer out on someone, because they're going to give us a uniform to wear anyway. And if my entire life and smelling good centers around having a job with them, it keeps me trapped, which is something they like, because you're not out there creating problems for society. And it just looks good, because a cleaner shouldn't be very good at cleaning themselves or cleaning their own home. They should only be good at cleaning commercial settings like casinos and people's rooms. Housekeeping, something to look at. I guarantee if I went tomorrow, I'd be hired. The problem is every morning, that's a weekday, except weekends, I get weekends off, I have to do chores at Father Joe's for an hour, in order to be there. So that's from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Now, if I've got a job, they'll forgive it. But job interviews are more important than a job. So the function of being at a shelter like this and having to do these obligations, and also there not being a phone number you can call to talk to the people at the window, having to actually physically be there, the function that it ends up serving, whether this is by design or not, is to concentrate us in a small area and keep us from being able to branch out to be able to get jobs the way real jobs are gotten, which isn't through submit a resume on a website, which is it's just shaking people's hands and coming to an agreement. This is how much I'm worth, contractual. That way, even if it's word of mouth to start off with, you've got a casita, it's empty. You could use housekeeping for you. You don't want to rent it out, but you want a housekeeper living there. You've got a large family or something, or whatever it is. I can wash clothes, I can clean the room, I can scrub the toilets, and we'll go from there. And it'll be a limited time, for instance, because eventually you might think, you know what, I do want to get this guy out of here. I'd rather bring in a renter that'll pay a couple hundred a month or even more, and then the casita. But for now, let's try the housekeeper out, and then that'll get me on my feet, and I'll be able to branch out, and I'll take 2 days that are weekdays off and continue to do all of this stuff and reach out to brokers and send my sad story videos and talk to people and shake hands, and will get me on my feet that way. We might be able to just skip past the homeless shelter thing. We'll take a rocket to the moon. Can't do that. So this is really, again, this is discriminating against our bad genes. This is to concentrate us in an area because we suck, we're rough around the edges, and society said this is the baseline, so you get SSI. And we're going to be talking, if not tomorrow, then at some point in the next couple of weeks, about what SSI is go away money. Social Security supplemental income and welfare is go away money. It says go away, don't compete. Don't compete with us. You stink. Not even if you. In fact, if you smell good, if you're dressed, if you are wearing a blazer, even if it's a Kufandi summer suit. I have to wear a summer suit here in San Diego. It's too hot to wear a full, custom tailored. So it'd have to be a fat one you can machine wash too. But if I were wearing a blazer, nice pants, nice slacks, great belt, and I had a dress shirt on, nice casual look, no tie, if I were looking sleek, you know what, people, this is literally society saying to you, like policing, actually, and who would ever dream they might actually start to enforce this subversively. If that guy that you can just tell because he's a little bit like this, and yes, you can start to discern it, we're all a little bit like this, and to a great extent, even though we're going to be a little like this no matter what, the fluorescent lights in the homeless shelter, of course, you put a sock over your eyes or something, right? But the strain of the situation makes us even more like this. And so it makes it harder and harder and harder. You get concentrated in this area, you start collecting SSI, you move over to their, subsidized housing a few footsteps away. Oh, we live in East Village. No, we live in a homeless shelter. So, that's the other problem. I'm not going to be able to go. I got to do chores tomorrow because it turns out I missed chores today. So I got up. It happened. So they're going to tell me, oh, got a red card or something like that, like England in the soccer, which is fine. I 3 strikes you're out situation. I'll bear the burden, but I can't now. Right there, that shifts the whole economy to where I can't do it tomorrow. And so we're not going to be able to set up a situation where, because all I would have to do is talk to one of the housing advisors and say, look, I've got a job where I should be living in Escondido. There's some shelters in Escondido that are, able to take people in, and he might be able to coordinate with the coordinators up in North County to just bring me in into where if I get fired there or I lose my job there, because I'll just be honest with them and say, look, I stink. I suck at life and everything, and I'm constantly getting fired for reasons, and I suck. And when you suck at life and everything, and you were psychiatrically medicated for a decade through puberty, the motor coordination, the fine motor skills, the gross, I guess you call it gross motor skills, whatever it is, all of it, it's just not there. You're not as neurologically intact. You're more like this, and I wouldn't have been if I were psychiatrically medicated. And so this backstory, much like I need 5 people helping me and to have enough money in a trust fund, so we're gonna have them checking the passes now. So, but that says it all.